Hey there, everybody. We did not expect to have another Grey's Anatomy discussion coming at this point, especially about a non existent finale.
Yep.
But
But
here we
here we
are.
are.
We even say it at the same time because we were so aware of the weirdness of all of
It's
this.
super weird, but we couldn't not talk about this.
All right, so what we had, I guess, technically was the finale last week.
And it felt like a finale.
It did. Like, it honestly felt like it could have been the ending. But there's the finale, and then there is the actual finale that Grey's Anatomy had planned. There is a specific script floating somewhere out there. Maybe it's a partial script. I don't know how far they got into writing it. But there is something that we will probably never fully see in its current form. If it does come back, maybe it'll be remixed to some degree. Who knows for sure?
Yep, nobody knows yet. Things are still so up in the air with everything that's going on in the real world right now.
Yeah, and the thing that makes this so important for the sake of our conversation now, though, is that what was apparently being planned, and this is according to a new report coming in from TV Line, but there was going to be a situation within that episode where someone was potentially going to die in an explosive situation. I think they describe it as a cataclysmic event. Because of that, everything is sort of just all over the place because now we're very much in this, who could it have been? Like, who could have Grey's Anatomy
Yeah.
killed off?
Yeah, I mean, we already lost Alex. We almost just lost Richard. Do we need to lose somebody else? We do have a couple of candidates of people that we're thinking could maybe have been the person to go. We're going to go over why we think it's possible they could have left because, I mean, there's still a possibility that maybe they're going to do this.
There really is, and that's terrifying. But before we dive in further, if you guys do like this video, remember to give us a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other updates that we've got coming up. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to start because the person that I am actually the most worried about is DeLuca. They have really been pushing this sort of narrative with him that he might be manic. He's doing these things that are, some of these things are very dangerous. We once saw him speeding off on his motorcycle at these crazy, crazy high speeds are really dangerous. We also saw him during that blizzard go out without his gloves and get all this sort of frostbite going on. If something came up where it was like a crazy, explosive situation, it was super dangerous, could DeLuca go, running into a building on fire or, something's collapsing, he's going to go running in there to save somebody? 100%. So he is the person that I am the most worried about right now.
I'm worried about DeLuca too. He's not number one on my list, and I'll talk about who is in a minute. But he is probably a number 2 or number 3. He is very, very high for a lot of the reasons that you have already sort of mentioned and articulated. The other thing that I just wonder about here a lot is, if it's an explosion, there's a couple different ways it can play out, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it could be something that's totally sudden and unexpected, and if he is still in this sort of place, maybe he's just doing something and he's not thinking clearly, and he sets himself up to sort of just explode into, not to get graphic here, but to just explode into bits.
Yeah.
But then there is that other possibility of him trying to be a hero and him rushing in to try to save someone's life.
Yeah, because right now his story is we've seen him have a couple of wins where, he was able to make the diagnosis of what was going on with Richard and help save his life, and all of that is great, but he's also had some other sort of, we'll call them wins, where he's figured stuff out, like what was happening with that girl, and he caught it and nobody listened to him, and she left the hospital in danger still. I know they were talking that they were gonna bring back that storyline, but there were some things that have been going on where nobody's really giving DeLuca a chance. He hasn't had a proper diagnosis yet, so I mean, I don't know where they were really going with this story. Was he ever going to get any help for who knows what's going on with him? Or was this going to be sort of a situation where they couldn't come back from what they had already put out there for him, and there was no way to really have him back at the hospital working the way he should have been, so explosion.
I'll tell you my number one now. I think it's Jackson, and it's mostly because I understand that whether it be Jesse Williams or a lot of these other actors, they may have contracts that extend beyond just season 16. But let's not forget, we see people leave their contracts early all the time. I mean, Justin Chambers did not have a contract that was expiring midway through this season.
Yep.
People can leave them early, and I think with Jesse in particular, we're talking about a guy who was already kind of doing double duty with this show and Station 19, which he's been on a lot lately, and also Broadway. He was on Power in its final season. He did Detroit Become Human, which I love that game, by the way. But
yeah, great game.
He's been kind of everywhere, and I don't know if the producers really know what to do with that character at the moment. And I know they did just have not that long ago the "is Jackson going to disappear into the fog and never return" cliffhanger, but I still kind of feel like with what he's doing, he's sort of doing a lot of stuff with Station 19 right now. Maybe he's going to get outside his element somewhere and get caught up in an explosion, and because he's not prepared for it, bad things are going to happen.
Yeah, he hasn't been on Grey's as much as I kind of feel like he should be. It does feel like he's kind of moved over to Station 19. He's got more of real sort of solid stories going on over there. He hasn't had as much in the way of solid stories going on Grey's. He's a good candidate.
It's a candidate that makes a little bit of sense, and I'm also thinking if you're going to potentially kill someone, maybe this was just supposed to be a cliffhanger where we weren't going to know for sure if they were coming back, and maybe they would, but I think it's got to be about someone who you have some skin in the game with. And That's why I've sort of thought, could it be Cormac? No, because we don't know Cormac Hayes all that well. Nobody's going to be that upset if he's in a life or death situation. I did think a little bit about Link, and I like Link, but I think it would be more of a, how dare you guys do something terrible to Amelia again. I think it would be more about Amelia than it would be Link, but I could totally see them doing something where they're like, oh, you thought that Amelia was going to have a really nice, happy existence moving forward. No, Link's going to die.
Yeah, I mean, this show would absolutely do something like that. They do love to kind of deal in misery a lot on the show. So I could see that happening, but I just don't want to wrap my head around it, so I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna have a big no on Link dying. That's a no from me.
Well, it's interesting. I don't know how to respond to that. I think that's really the thing. It's okay.
I refuse.
All right. Well, then we're not going to acknowledge that Jess has refused to accept that idea. So we're going to move on, and we're going to talk about Owen or Tom because we do have this love triangle situation, and if they did want to be like, well, that resolves that. One of them is dead, so that eliminates the option.
I just don't see Owen leaving the show, so I really don't think that it's him. I mean, yeah, big characters do leave the show, but I just don't think that that's where we're going right now. Tom, it would really kind of depend on the situation. I mean, Tom is, a great doctor and, all that sort of stuff, but do I see Tom running into an exploding building or something? I don't see him doing that. I see him doing other things where he'd be like, oh, I'll be here for anybody that's coming out. I will help. I will do anything that I can, but he doesn't strike me as the personality that is going to run into a situation maybe like that. Could he be caught in something like that? Sure, he could be. And yeah, it does resolve the whole trio drama that's going on. But this is Grey's Anatomy. They don't want to resolve that. I don't see them wanting to resolve that. I see them wanting to roll around in this.
Yeah.
So Owen or Tom, no. Teddy, no. I think they're going to keep that messy trio going on.
I think probably the biggest evidence that we're not going to lose Owen, Tom, or Teddy. I think Krista Vernoff's done a number of post-mortem interviews, and it sounds, based on what she has said in those, that there wasn't necessarily a full resolution to this storyline, even in the scripts that were planned for this season. And if that's the case, it would probably extend over into season 17. So I think they're probably going to have the three still around. I mean, Kim Raver has left Grey's Anatomy before. I guess it could happen again. But I'm going to go sort of out of left field for the last choice here, because I think we can both probably agree there's a few people who are guaranteed safe. You're not killing Meredith Grey. You're not going to kill Amelia after she just had a baby.
No.
You're not going to kill Richard Weber after he just almost died.
No.
Can you imagine the riots if they killed Bailey?
I could imagine some if they also killed Joe after everything that's just happened. I can't see it.
No, I don't see them killing Joe. I can't see them killing Joe either. But this brings me, almost in some ways by process of elimination, to the what if around Maggie. Because Maggie hasn't really had a big storyline other than, oh, here's the love interest guy she met at the conference. And, good on her for finding someone. It just feels like they don't really have a lot of story for Maggie at this point. And if there was sort of a situation where ultimately if either the actress wanted to move on and do something different or Graves just kind of ran out of story for her, they could kind of get rid of her here. I don't think it's Maggie. I don't think they're going to write out her, but she would be sort of if there was one sort of person who's a little bit beyond who you would expect, I would probably say it's her.
Yeah, and I mean, Maggie dying would affect a lot of different people on this show, so I mean, it would open up a few storylines for some other people as well.
So right now, I think this is where we are with all of this.
But not Link.
With other than Link, which is apparently it is not allowed that I bring up the possibility of Link dying.
How dare you!
I still think he might, but no.
God.
I think the top two candidates are probably Jackson and DeLuca. I just whether it be what's happened in their story or what's going on with the actor, those are the two that just make the most sense to me anyway. But let's get your thoughts on this. I mean, do you think that Grey's would have actually killed someone off this season? I mean, they've certainly shown that they're willing to.
Yeah.
Who do you think it could be? Give us your thoughts and theories on this in the comments. And if you do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, and you can support us further by checking the link in the description to the store. And we'll see you here next time.